Yeah. It's your boy Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Always grateful to be in the presence of the spectacular people. Man, got to always start the show out with gratitude. I'm grateful to be alive, grateful to be here with you guys. I'm grateful for the sun that shines. I'm grateful for the soil that we walk on. I'm grateful for the water that we drink, you guys. I'm grateful to be talking football with you guys because this is what we do. This is what you guys came for, and I don't give you guys anything less. I give you guys passion. I give you guys energy. I give you guys that feeling. And this is what we do here at Chalk It Up Sports. We're not here to give you guys that nerdy football talk. We're not here to give you guys that, that soft, tender love and care. No, we're here to give you guys that unadulterated, that unfiltered football talk. Like I said, I'm giving you guys passion. I'm giving you guys my raw energy. I'm a live wire in here, and I cannot be contained. Sometimes you guys watch this show, and sometimes I can fly off the handle, right? Sometimes I get deep into my gladiator mindset. I get into my gladiator bag, kill or be killed, because that's what I believe. I believe that same mindset in real life. My dad taught me, listen, son, don't nobody out here care about your feelings. People care about the results. They don't give a damn if you was tired this morning. They don't give a damn if you got a cold. They don't give a damn if you stubbed your toe. They don't give a damn. They want they fix. It's time to show up. Those are the people that live and survive in this life. Those that show up, not those that make excuses, okay? So we don't make excuses on this show. I'm going to give you guys my unadulterated opinion, unfiltered. I'm going to give you guys my truth. I'm going to give you guys what I believe the Philadelphia Eagles truth is. And then I'm going to tell you where we land in between, okay? You guys are always going to get both sides of the coin with me. And I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Of course, if you're new to the show, thank you guys so much for being here. It means a lot to me. I'm grateful that you found the time out to kick it with me. I know you guys have a ton of options, yet you decided to come here with your boy at Chalk It Up Sports. And that's something that we cannot take lightly. So if you're an OG listener, a first-time listener, make sure you guys smash that like button. All my OG subscribers, thank you for holding it down. All the newbies, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Only and only if you like what you hear, you like what you see, you like the way I make you feel. Like I said, I'm not here to tuck nobody in. I'm not here to give you guys warm milk, okay? We taking shots of that tequila. We taking shots of that mana. You feel what I'm saying? So smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the content. Please make sure you guys always stay engaged, man. The engagement is always off the charts. You guys are making the channel continue to grow beyond belief, beyond my expectations, man. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, stay engaged, comment below, hit the share button. All my people on X as well. Shout out to my X family. You guys have been retweeting, hitting the like button. You guys are following me. You guys are doing everything and above to make sure the show stays above water. Thank you guys so much as well. Make sure you guys stay locked in. The content only gets better. Now, enough with the pleasantries. Let's get to why you came here. Let's get to why you came here today. You guys saw the thumbnail. You guys have saw the reports. You guys have read the stories. You guys have been locked in on training camp, or should I say OTAs and mandatory minicamp. You guys have been locked in on that. It's no mystery. The Philadelphia Eagles are in a pretty good position as it pertains to the cornerback position. The defensive back room in general is looking pretty good, right? Now, obviously, they have to put things together on the football field. That's obviously the case. The Philadelphia Eagles aren't coming off of one of their best seasons in terms of their cornerback and in totality, their defensive back play. They're not coming off of one of their best seasons with that. They were one of the worst teams against the pass in 2023, yet they were one of the best teams against the pass in 2022, which is insane. How do you go from being one of the best to one of the worst? That sort of thing just can't happen. It shouldn't happen, right? Especially when you have some of the same pieces, if not all the same pieces in the building. The only thing that changed was the coaches, the coaching, the leadership. That changed, right? the people who set up the game plans. You went from Jonathan Gannon to Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. That's the difference, right? Also, James Bradberry fell off a cliff. Also, that safety position wasn't necessarily the same as 2022 and 2023. 2022, you had CJ GJ and you had Marcus Epps back there with Reed Blankenship rotating as a backup. In 2023, you had Reed Blankenship as a starter, and then you traded for Kevin Byard because you had no real viable option. You had Terrell Emmons at one point, but he was really a liability, right? So that safety position downgrade, right? That cornerback position regressed. Darius Slay wasn't awful, but he wasn't great either. I think we can all agree with that. He wasn't spectacular, but he wasn't the weakest link on the football field. James Bradberry, arguably, was the weakest link on the football field, and it showed week in and week out, and it didn't get better. It didn't get better. There was no coaching change that could have saved Darius Slay from that. Granted, the safety play behind him got worse, but there's no way you look that bad, my brother. So the Philadelphia Eagles decided to go back to the drawing board. And you know what they said to themselves? They say, you know what? We need to start thinking about the future of this position, because there's no way we can hitch our wagon to two cornerbacks age 30 and up. Darius Slay is one thing. He's an anomaly. He's still playing at a pretty high level for his age, all things considered. But James Bradberry, to go from being a second-team All-Pro player to being one of the worst cornerbacks in the NFL, one of the biggest liabilities in the NFL, that just can't happen. So the Philadelphia Eagles go back to the drawing board. They reloaded the cornerback position. They had talent waiting, though. Kelee Ringo was someone that they were grooming, still wasn't ready. He had to go out there and play when they dealt with injuries. When Darius Slay went out, Kelee Ringo had to go out there and pick up some snaps. He was okay, wasn't awful, but wasn't great. Young player thrown into the heat, had to figure it out as long as he went, right? And then they had Isaiah Rodgers waiting in the cut. He was suspended, couldn't play at all in 2023, but he's back now, fully ready and locked and loaded. So I look at it from this perspective. You have Isaiah Rodgers waiting to go, and then you draft the best cornerback or the highest graded cornerback in the 2024 NFL draft in Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, a physical specimen, has all the measurables, all the size you want at the position, the length, the physicality, the speed, the instincts, the swagger, the confidence. He's what you want at that position. Still has to prove it at the NFL level, though. But so far, he's done everything he's needed to do to prove why he should have been drafted where he was drafted. And then you follow that up by drafting the Iowa product, the hybrid DB in Cooper DeJean. Can play the outside, can play the slot, can play safety, can put him in big nickel situations. He's a very versatile player, has a ton of athleticism, a ton of speed, a ton of confidence, plays with leadership. So the Philadelphia Eagles are coming into this training camp with 3 additional corners that they didn't have at their disposal in 2023. They're going into the 2024 campaign with 3 additional corners that they did not have access to in 2023. So, needless to say, James Bradberry, his time is up in Philadelphia. It's a foregone conclusion. He's done. He's done. Thank you for 2022. It's a what have you done for me lately kind of league. He's done. The Eagles are either going to cut him or find a way to trade him for something. Maybe they wait until training camp and preseason gets going. Maybe they wait until a team suffers a key injury at their cornerback position, and that forces their hand to make a play for a veteran like James Bradberry. Maybe somebody can use him. I'm sure he can be useful to someone. But as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are turning the page on the James Bradberry stint. This arguably can be Darius Slay's last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's something we need to consider. Right? I want to make sure I want to make sure I have my ducks in a row here. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe Darius Slay doesn't have too many years left in that deal. As a matter of fact, Darius Slay is going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026, and the Eagles can potentially get away from his contract going into the 2025 season. I want to make this very clear. Darius Slay, coming off of a Pro Bowl season, is a well-respected guy at his craft. He did sign a extension or did a restructure with the Philadelphia Eagles to secure him more guaranteed money, I believe, prior to the 2023 season starting. But he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2026, and the Eagles can potentially get away from his contract going into the 2025 season. It's not going to be an issue. So I say this. The Eagles would be able to get away from Darius Slay if they decide to cut him after 2024. But again, they would incur a 22.7 dead cap hit at this present moment. It all remains to be seen, though. But this isn't about Darius Slay. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, okay? Darius Slay is going to be here for 2024. That's locked in. He's going to be here, right? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on the now. James Bradberry is out of here. He's out of here. Darius Slay is entering the season at age 33. You have a young Quinyon Mitchell who's ready to go. You have a young veteran in Isaiah Rodgers who's ready to go. But the question becomes, who do you go with in week one? Who do you go with in week one? Based off of the reports, based off what we've been hearing from the NovaCare complex, from the players, from writers, Isaiah Rodgers so far is having himself a hell of an offseason. He had a hell of an OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Made plays left and right. Quinyon Mitchell having a great offseason. That's the word. The word is he's been sticky in coverage and has very much looked like he belonged despite making the leap from the Mid-American Conference per ESPN. I mean, when you draft a guy that high, you say to yourself, okay, he has to be a starter, right? Let me make sure I got this right here. Quinyon Mitchell, drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round, pick number 22. And you got Isaiah Rodgers, who was a pretty solid corner for the Colts, comes in more confident than ever, in shape. Even A.J. Brown has to acknowledge that, hey, Isaiah Rodgers has been doing some great things in camp, and he could potentially be in line for something special. A.J. Brown says, and I quote here, let me make sure you guys see what I see. A.J. Brown says, for a guy that has not played football for a year, coming back, he looks like he has been playing nonstop. He's flying around, and he's going to do special stuff for us this year. Man, if you ask me, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a tough decision to make. But before we get into that conversation, thank you guys for being here. Please smash that like button. Let's do some shout outs. Shout out to my man Ray Bailey, Benny Boom 68, Chin A, J 757 CJ, Austin, Fitness Roofer, what's good? Sir Jam, Eagles Nation, what's good? Thank you guys so much for being here, my man. I appreciate you guys. Sir Jam says, I'm a big fan, Tone. I rocks with you, bro. All the way from Cali. Hey, California love. Let me get the. Hey, I appreciate you, man, for holding it down on the West Coast, dog. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate y'all, man. As a matter of fact, let me know where y'all chiming in from. Let me know where y'all holding it down at. Where are you locking in on the content? Are you on the East Coast? Are you on the West Coast? Are you down south? Are you international? Where are you? Well, you ain't got to give me the exact location, but maybe you give me a state or give me a city. Where are you holding it down from? Where are you holding it down from? Let's do a check-in real quick. I'm born and raised in Philly, but as of right now, I reside in Texas. That's where I am right now. Where we holding it down from, y'all? Let me know. Jam is holding it down from Cali. Where y'all at? Shout y'all spot out. Jamal Harris, shout out to him holding it down in Grand Prairie, Texas. Hey, Texas boy. I'm just getting used to the Texas living. So, man, glad to see a fellow Eagles fan holding it down in Texas. KGK0911 holding it down in Birmingham, Alabama. Say that then. Say that then. Sir Jam says, I'm a Philly native, but I reside in LA. Hey, I feel you on that. I'm a Philly native, but I'm in Texas. 757 CJ says, holding it down from Newport News, Virginia. Live and hey, he said, okay. He said, I'm from Newport News, Virginia, live in Kelee. Okay. I like that. I'm very familiar with Kelee. Ray Bailey says, Dallas, Texas. Okay, I love it. So, yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles are in a precarious position here because you don't draft a guy like Quinyon Mitchell at the spot you drafted him at. You don't draft that caliber of player and sit him on the bench. But at the same time, can you really ignore what you've seen from Isaiah Rodgers? How are you going to be able to get all those guys on the field? Like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles are very talented at the cornerback position this year. They're very talented, and they're young, they're athletic, they're speedy, they're physical. They're all looking to prove something. This is a good problem to have. But who starts? Juan Ramirez says, from the desert, Albuquerque, New Mexico, baby. Shin A says, Philly born and raised. J62 Moon, Eastern Shore, Maryland. Okay. Jamal Harris says, do you know where the Eagles bar is in Dallas? No, I don't, man. Not at all. I don't. Sir Jam says, Philly balling, Tone. Sixers got Paul George. Hey, listen, man. That's a good pickup by them. You signed Paul George. You signed Andre Drummond. You re-signed Kelly Oubre. You extended Tyrese Maxey. Those are some good moves. Now you got to continue to fill out the roster. So yeah, I like what the Sixers did, but I don't know, man. I'm still in that mindset of prove it to me in what is that? Prove it to me in May or June. Prove it to me in the playoffs, okay? Lil G Griffith says, I'm a big fan of the Eagles 2024 season. I'm a big fan of the Eagles. The 2024 season better league where the Eagles win 14-3. I'm going to be an uncle with a girl. Oh, that's dope, Little G. That's what's up, man. Congratulations. Jamal Harris says, don't forget, we still got Zach, Eli, and Ringo. Yeah, man. Listen, it's a ton of bodies, man. I'm going to get to Ringo soon. Don't get it twisted. We're going to talk to that. We're going to talk about that. But, again, Quinyon Mitchell, a player that everybody was high on in this draft. Everybody felt like Quinyon Mitchell was one of the players that you wanted to have on your football team. I mean, let's just get into some of the details about him when he came out of the draft, right? Oh, here we go. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's just get into some of the details about Quinyon Mitchell when he came out of the draft. 6 feet, 195 pounds, ran a 4.33 40-yard dash time at the combine with a 1.51 10-yard split, a 38-inch vertical at the combine. Bench press had 20 reps at the bench press at the combine, which is great. So he's a strong player. He's a fast player. He's a twitchy player. He's quick. Great recovery speed, decent size and length at the position. It says here, Quinyon Mitchell from Williston High School was rated a 3-star recruit by ESPN and handed a 3-star grade by 24/7 Sports. This is coming out of high school. He was only given a 3-star rating coming out of high school. And he decided to go to Toledo following high school. Now, here's the thing. he had other offers, but things went wrong at school, and he had to, I don't want to say settle, but Toledo was the one program that stuck by him, and he decided to stay with them his entire college career. And in 2022, he saw little. He didn't really see too much action as a freshman. As a sophomore in 2021, he played in 13 games and logged 588 snaps for Toledo. He made 33 tackles, 2 assisted, and had 9 stops. In coverage, he totaled 5 pass breakups, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating when target of 78.2. In 2022, as a junior, Mitchell played in 13 games and contributed on 837 defensive snaps, meaning they trusted him more. He chalked up 31 tackles, 2 assists, and added 14 stops. In the secondary, Mitchell forced 16 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, and gave up an elite quarterback rating when targeted of just 32.4. In 2023, as a senior, Mitchell saw action in 13 games while playing 781 defensive snaps. He logged 39 tackles, 6 assisted, and made 12 stops. In coverage, Mitchell had 14 pass breakups, 1 interception, and surrendered an impressive quarterback rating when targeted of 49.0. Also says that he has elite athletic skills. Mitchell bench pressed 225 pounds 21 times, squatted 44 times, and had a top speed of 23.58 miles per hour on the GPS. Man, oh man. Let me add this in too. It says Mitchell displays exceptional field vision and zone coverage, adept at predicting and interrupting the quarterback's strategy, and showcases impressive route recognition, allowing him to react effectively to aerial threats. He's also known for his tenacity and tackling, very physical, especially against receivers where he isn't hesitant to engage physically and assert his presence. Mitchell's ball skills are among the elite. He exudes a natural instinct for the ball, translating into significant pass deflections and interceptions, becoming Toledo's defensive backbone. And he carried a versatile skill set as well, where he was comfortable in both man and zone coverages, though he shows an exceptional aptitude for zone schemes, where his ability to read the game truly shines. So he's really going to benefit in Vic Fangio's scheme, right? He's really going to benefit. Vic Fangio, he runs a ton of zone. That's pretty much what he does. And that scheme lends to Quinyon Mitchell's strengths. He can play man as well, but he's a little bit better in zone. And it's going to give him plenty of opportunity to break on the ball, give him plenty of opportunity to make plays, force the action, dictate the action, things of that nature, right? But again, he's competing. Although he is the first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024, although picked 22nd overall, although he's the number 1 corner by many evaluators' estimation out of his draft class, although all those things are true, he still has to compete because Vic Fangio is not allowing anybody to slide. He doesn't care where you were drafted. He don't care how much you're being paid. It's either you play well or you sit your ass on the bench. It's very, very simple. He's not overcomplicating this process at all. And I love that. I love that everyone has to earn it. I think Darius Slay was talking about that recently. Everybody has to earn it. Vic Fangio is looking at everybody like, look, I wasn't here last year, and I don't give a damn about last year. Everybody got to prove it to me. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what your draft stock was. I don't care what your agent say. I don't care what that jersey number say. I don't care what your last name say. I'm putting the most productive players on the field. So Quinyon Mitchell, although he was drafted high, and although the Philadelphia Eagles definitely drafted him to be the future at the position, he still has to compete with, believe it or not, James Bradberry, who might likely be cut. He has to compete with the main gentleman in question, Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers is a guy that is playing for his livelihood. Isaiah Rodgers is not here just to take up a roster spot. He wants to get on that football field. That's a fact. Isaiah Rodgers is coming off of a league suspension for gambling. The Eagles have signed. The Eagles, I believe in, make sure I got this right here. So the Eagles had signed Isaiah Rodgers a couple years ago. Or I think they signed him in 2023. I can't remember exactly when. But the Eagles signed Isaiah Rodgers in 2023. And he was subsequently placed on the reserve suspended list. Rodgers is 25 years old. Well, was 25 at the time. He's probably 26 by now. And he was released by the Colts in late June after being suspended indefinitely by the league for gambling policy violations. Excuse me. It says here, sources familiar with the activity on the online sportsbook account used by Rodgers told ESPN's David Purdom in June that upward of 100 bets were placed, including at least one wager on a game involving the Colts. A source told ESPN that friends of Rodgers who were in Florida encouraged him to place many of the wagers, the majority of which were in the $25 to $50 range. Legal sports betting was not available in Florida this past football season. The largest wager placed through the account was a $1,000 prop bet on the over-under on rushing yards by Colts running back, which won. The NFL investigation into the gambling violations did not find evidence of any game manipulation, a league source told Porter. Rodgers had acknowledged his situation on social media in June, saying he takes full responsibility for his actions, and he wasn't to be with the Philadelphia Eagles until the suspension was lifted. He's since then been reinstated by the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's been reinstated by the NFL. He's officially on the Eagles roster. He participated in training camp, or he participated in OTAs in full. He participated in mandatory minicamp in full. It says here, Rodgers has 3 interceptions and 10 pass breakups over the 3 seasons in Indianapolis while serving as a kick and punt returner. Now, let me add this in, right? Isaiah Rodgers, again, doesn't really have too much loaded on the stat sheet. 5'10", 170 pounds. He's a smaller body in comparison to Quinyon Mitchell. Isaiah Rodgers, 5'10", 170. He plays the outside corner more comfortably than the inside. He's a former 6th round pick by the Colts, drafted 211th overall in 2020. Says here, in 2020, played in 13 games. In 2021, played in 17 games. It started only 1 game. In 2022, he started in 9 games, but while playing in a total of 15. So he has about 10 games worth of starting experience. He has 45 total games of actual gameplay on defense, right? So he's been a guy that they've used in various situations, but he's mainly been like a punt return guy for them. He's returned touchdowns. He's returned punts for touchdowns. He's returned a kick for a touchdown. He's done that. He's done that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles find a way to get him on the field in that capacity, but he is competing. He is very much competing against Quinyon Mitchell for that starting cornerback spot next to Darius Slay. And it will not be easy. Both players both players have something to prove. Both players got a chip on their shoulder. Quinyon Mitchell being the Toledo corner, he's trying to put on for his program, trying to show that you can draft high quality players from this program in the first round and show that it's not a waste of a pick. So he's carrying that as well. And then Isaiah Rodgers, he's trying to shake off that bad blood, that stigma that he carried with him, betting on football games. He's trying to turn the page on his career. And he's looking to set a name for himself, right? And you never know. Things may happen. Things may turn out well for him where he can maybe get a long-term contract from either the Eagles or another organization. You never really know. And again, we don't know what Darius Slay's future holds beyond this year. So will Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers be your future starters beyond 2024? Will it end up being Quinyon Mitchell or Kelee Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers walks in free agency and gets signed a multi-year deal by another team? Will Cooper DeJean end up being the opposite corner next to Quinyon Mitchell? We really don't know how this thing's going to play out. There's so much football that has to play out first. I'm getting ahead of myself, right? But I say all this to say the Philadelphia Eagles are in a good situation here. And before I continue, shout out to my man Jordan here. He says, love what you're doing, bro. Keep it up. Big things coming. Much love from Florida. Question, if the younger players outplay Slay in training camp, do you deal Slay? Ooh, man. Jordan. Shout out to Jordan holding it down on X, man. Wow. That's That'd be a hell of a risk to take, right? That would be a hell of a risk that the Philadelphia Eagles would take going into the 2024 season. Is that outside of the realm of possibility? Probably not. But wouldn't you say you're cutting your nose to spite your face? You don't want to go too young out there. I think Slay is going to be. I think Slay is safe. Man, Jordan, that's a hell of a curveball you threw. But if I had to be honest, I don't think all those guys are going to outplay Darius Slay. He's too seasoned. He has too much experience. He's been here way too long. He has too much pedigree for the Philadelphia Eagles to just move on from him hastily like that. I think Darius Slay is here for 2024. I think they find a way to move on from him after this year. That's my prediction. I could be very wrong. But I think the Eagles are trying to get younger, and I think they're trying to get cheaper on that side of the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles keep Darius Slay for this season and then find a way to deal him going into the final year of his contract. Because if he believes he still has a lot, if he believes he still has a lot left in the tank, he's going to want another extension. And I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to give him another one. Remember, he almost walked out the door this past offseason in 2023. Remember? He was almost gone. He almost was a Baltimore Raven. But the Eagles decided to restructure and extend, give him more money up front. But I don't think they do that again. I think they want to get younger and they want to get cheaper, which is going to provide them more flexibility, and they'll be able to get more value from the position. And besides, there comes a point in time where you have to take a risk on these young guys. You got to get them out in the field. You got Isaiah Rodgers, who's a young guy ready to prove himself still. You got Cooper DeJean on his roster. You got Kelee Ringo, a player that I'm excited about, actually. I think the perfect scenario is Quinyon Mitchell and Kelee Ringo being your starters going into 2025. Only if Kelee Ringo can hack it, though. Only if Kelee Ringo proves that he's capable and the Eagles feel comfortable taking a chance on him. I think the perfect scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles is Quinyon Mitchell and Kelee Ringo going to the 2025 season being your outside corners, and Cooper DeJean comes in being your nickel. That could very well be a scenario. You got 3 starting DBs or 3 starting corners on rookie deals. I promise you, that's the scenario the Eagles want. Because not only are they young, athletic, and hungry, you would have 3 young players in their early 20s on rookie deals. Think about that. 3 starting corners on rookie deals that are producing at a high level. You're getting tremendous value for that level of investment. That's the scenario the Eagles want, I promise you. If the Eagles had it their way, and if everything panned out, you got Quinyon Mitchell and Kelee Ringo on the outside, and you got Cooper DeJean playing the nickel or one of those safety spots. I think that's their perfect scenario. That's how you build your defense and keep the talent base high while still being cheaper. I promise you, that's the situation they want. I promise you. And thank you again for the love, Jordan. I really do appreciate your support. It means a lot to me, my friend. It means a great deal. All right. Ray Bailey says, I think you have to let Slay walk after this year. I'm with you on that. Marina Sands says, since Mitchell was CB4, should be Rodgers or Ringo. I don't see where he's CB4. As of right now, at the depth chart I'm looking at, he is behind Isaiah Rodgers. So I guess technically he is considered CB4 because as of right now, the depth chart that I'm looking at, they have Slay at CB1, Rodgers at CB2, Ringo at CB3, and Mitchell at CB4. But don't let that CB3 and CB4 thing deter you. You have Darius Slay and Rodgers right now as the starters on the depth chart. This is just on paper. This is not what it's going to be in the season. Well, we don't know. But as of right now, on the depth chart, and the depth chart that I use is via ourlads.com. Ourlads.com. I love their website. They have Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers as the starters, and Kelee Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell as their backups. Okay, that's what it says here on the depth chart. So that's that reality as of right now. But nonetheless, though, that doesn't mean anything today because both Isaiah Rodgers and Quinyon Mitchell have had really good off seasons. And I'm telling you, the Eagles would prefer, and only if he's productive, they would prefer if their new shiny toy in Quinyon Mitchell, they would prefer that he be their starter next to Darius Slay. That's the situation they want. But regardless, though, like I mentioned, the Eagles have a good problem. This is a good problem to have. They are in a great position to keep that position talented and fresh. God forbid an injury happens, you're pretty good there. Obviously, they have to go out there and prove it on the field. We know that. But at face value, you look at that cornerback room, you say to yourself, hey, not bad. Not bad at all. A guy like Kelee Ringo, I have high hopes for him. I don't think this year is his year, though, because of the fact Isaiah Rodgers and Quinyon Mitchell are right there. I don't think this year is his year. I think 2025 is when we really see the Kelee Ringo experiment begin to take shape. That's my perspective. And when you got guys like AJ Brown speaking highly of Quinyon Mitchell, speaking highly of Isaiah Rodgers, when you have guys like that, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. So again, make sure you guys please smash that like button. It really helps the content grow. I really appreciate all the love and support. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are locked in on the content. If you guys just hopping in, we have been discussing the position battle between Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers. Excuse me. We've been discussing that, and the fact of the matter is, the Eagles are in a good place, and Quinyon Mitchell being the first rounder isn't guaranteed anything. But at the same time, he's in a good place here. Isaiah Rodgers isn't guaranteed anything, but is in a good place. Is in a good place. All right, let's see what we got here. And also, let me show you guys what I think is going to happen here. Let me reveal to you guys my, how do you say, my way too early prediction for the defensive back room going into the 2024 season. I'm going to pull that up here in just a second. Give me a moment. All right. So let me pull this up for you guys. So as of right now, this is the DB room that I believe is going to go into the regular season. This is who I believe the Philadelphia Eagles take into the regular season from the DB perspective. I have Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, Avonte Maddox, Isaiah Rodgers, Avonte being the nickel, of course, Isaiah Rodgers, Cooper DeJean, who's your hybrid, can play the outside, the nickel, the safety. I feel like he's going to do a lot for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's their Swiss Army knife. Who else do we have here? We have Kelee Ringo, Tyler Hall, who I think makes the roster, a nickel that they brought in to compete with Avonte Maddox and Zach McPherson. You also have CJ Gardner-Johnson at safety, Reed Blankenship at safety, Sidney Brown and Mekhi Gardner. I think they go into the season with 4 safeties. They go into the season with 4 outside corners, 2 nickels, and 1 hybrid, with Cooper DeJean being able to do whatever you need him to do out there. Do you guys agree? Disagree with my assessment? Once again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles go into the season with, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 defensive backs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles go into the regular season with 11 defensive backs, 4 of them being outside corners, 2 of them being nickel corners, 4 of them being safeties, and 1 being your hybrid in Cooper DeJean, who can play outside, inside, or the safety position. Is that something you guys could potentially agree with here? Thank you guys for locking in on the show. We got a lot of people tuned in. We got 79 people locked in so far. We got 53 people locked in on X, 26 people watching on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys for being here. So make sure you guys smash that like button. I really appreciate the love and the support. Let's see where we are here. Jamal Harris says, I appreciate the content. Your platform is seriously growing at a rapid pace. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. He also says, I think we keep 3 corners on the practice squad. Yeah. That's a possibility. It could be Josh Jobe. It could end up being Zach McPherson. They have options there. They have options. Hey, listen. What if Zach McPherson outplays Tyler Hall? Then Tyler Hall is on the practice squad. So it all remains to be seen. All right, Dre Diesel, excuse me. He says, bro, ultimately, I imagine Quinyon and Mitchell plays opposite Slay and Rodgers. Quinyon Mitchell, they're the same people, if I'm not mistaken. Quinyon Mitchell. Okay, I got you. He says, bro, ultimately, I imagine Quinyon Mitchell plays opposite Slay and Isaiah Rodgers takes a slot position that would be optimal. Yeah, they've been saying that Isaiah Rodgers is a more natural outside corner. And look, here's my mindset, right? I think where he is in his career, he's open to playing whatever role they need him to play. But he has been doing primarily outside corner work for the Philadelphia Eagles in training camp, or I keep saying training camp, in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. But that doesn't mean he isn't being cross-trained to play that nickel spot. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that should be completely excluded either. I really don't. But it all depends. It really all depends. Please make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. But yeah, Dre, I mean, you bring up a good point. Because originally, I was of the mindset that, hey, Isaiah Rodgers can play the nickel. But every time I kept hearing people talk about him, they always said, he played the outside. He's not really a nickel corner, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, he could have fooled me. Being 5'10", 170, 175, he could have fooled me. Like that's prototypical nickel size. So is there a scenario where the Philadelphia Eagles have Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay on the outside? You have Isaiah Rodgers in the slot. But then what do you do with Avonte Maddox? I know you cut him and brought him back on a 1-year deal. He's competing. Don't get it twisted. And he's not guaranteed anything. But Avonte Maddox, he's a gnarly dude, man. He's the kind of guy that he's going to compete. Now, his health is something that we're concerned about with him. I'm never concerned with Avonte Maddox's performances. I'm always concerned with the health part. That's where things get tricky for him. That's where it always gets tricky. Oh man, you guys are starting to funnel in, man. We got over 30 people here on YouTube, or over 50 people locked in on X. Make sure you guys lock in. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. Very interesting to see. Another conversation I want to have with you guys is, you know, Reed Blankenship, right? Reed Blankenship is a player that the Eagles did decide to extend. They gave him an additional year on his contract. So he's going to be here for this season and 2025. On top of that, you have Sidney Brown and Mekhi Gardner who are competing. Sidney Brown is a rookie drafted last year, I believe, in the third or fourth. Was it the third or fourth round? You drafted him, and I know he's coming off of that ACL tear, and he could possibly start the season on the PUP list. You never know. But Sidney Brown, I know he wants to get on that field, and he's a very athletic player, very physical. He's a heat-seeking missile. He's definitely going to learn a lot from CJ Gardner-Johnson. I think those two playing together will be deadly because of the swagger they both play with. You know, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's in a great position as well, signing a 3-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be really interesting to see how he pans out this year because, you know, he's coming off of 2 back-to-back seasons with near season-ending injuries, and you know it's a shame because when he's on the field, he's very productive, he's gritty, he's fearless, he doesn't take any shit from anybody. It's going to be really dope to see. My man Philly Mike from the Philly Talk podcast, he says ready for year 2 Sidney Brown. Yo, I'm ready too, man. I'm really high on Sidney Brown, bro, and I think he should be able to get on the football field. It's going to be tough, though. See, this is what I've been talking about, right? The Eagles have a good problem on their hands. They have so much depth, so much talent in that DB room. You know, it's going to force guys to really step their weight up. Sidney Brown is obviously going to start a little bit behind the 8 ball because he's been, you know, recovering from that ACL. But I'm ready for Sidney Brown to take that next step. I'm so ready for Sidney Brown to evolve and become just that physical specimen in the backfield, just taking heads off. He plays fearlessly. He plays with reckless abandon at times, but there's a chance that this injury maybe forced him to slow down and think through the game more rather than relying on his pure athleticism because he would throw his body around, but he didn't really get hurt throwing his body around. He got hurt on special teams, a non-contact injury. But regardless, like my man Philly Mike from the Philly Talk podcast, he says, you know, he's ready for year 2 Sidney Brown, and I'm ready as well. And he also asked, additionally, what's my thoughts on Reed Blankenship? You know what's funny, man? I like Reed Blankenship. I really do. The Eagles showed in their actions that they like him as well by giving him an additional year on his current contract. So he's now signed through 2025. You got him this year and next year. And he was also voted the most underrated or undervalued player on the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. So there's something there. I've always felt like Reed Blankenship understands the game very well. He's a smart player. He tackles very well. I like him in the run game. He led the Eagles in tackles last year. He's not really the most – he's not the quickest guy. He's not the most athletic guy, but he knows where to be. But I don't trust Reed Blankenship in a foot race. So although I trust his football IQ, can his athleticism match that? So I think Reed Blankenship is probably going to start the season as a starter, though, to put it plainly. I think Reed Blankenship starts the season as a starter. And it all depends on how things go from there. If, you know, they want to throw Sidney Brown out there, you know, to take that chance, so be it. But I think starting the season, you're going to see CJ GJ playing next to Reed Blankenship. I think that's going to be the starting combo going into the season. And I like Reed. I like him. But I think ultimately we want to see Sidney Brown on the field. We want to see what he looks like. Jordan says, if Sidney can control when to be aggressive, he can be a very solid safety. I agree. Like, here's the thing. He's the kind of guy that you love the motor. You'd much rather have a guy that you got to pull off the ledge than a guy you got to push towards the ledge. You much rather have a guy that you got to, you know, reel in than a guy that you have to motivate, right? So I like what they have in Sidney Brown, even though he can be a little aggressive. I still like that mentality. I can work with that. I can teach a guy to calm down, but I can't teach a guy to be aggressive. You get what I'm saying? Eagles realist. He says, Tone, what I miss. So we've been discussing the position battle for the starting cornerback spot opposite Darius Slay between Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers. We also touched on Kelee Ringo and his future with this team and what he potentially could look like in the 2024 and maybe the 2025 season as well. We've also touched on the cornerback depth, the depth at safety. We've touched on CJ GJ and Sidney Brown's impact as well. And we also touched on Reed Blankenship. So we've been pretty much talking about the defensive back room and how at the end of the day, although Quinyon Mitchell was drafted in the first round and you got Isaiah Rodgers competing, there's nothing guaranteed, right? There's nothing guaranteed for neither of these players. But I believe the perfect scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think the scenario they want is Quinyon Mitchell out there starting. And then they find a way to get Isaiah Rodgers on the field, be it if it's in the slot or maybe it's a dime look things like that. You never know. Let's see where we are. And Antonio Holmes, my man, we share a first name. He says Rodgers said in an interview that they asked him what he wanted to play, and he said, "I'm an outside corner." He said he saw 0 snaps at nickel so far. See, that's what I mean. So, he hasn't played nickel, but if you're playing in Philadelphia, they're going to cross train you. That's just how it works here. You're not going to just play one position in Philadelphia, unless you're a quarterback. In Philadelphia, you getting cross trained. It don't matter what position you play. That's just how they do it here, and I like that, honestly. Bruce Banner, what's good? I hope all is well, my friend. Antonio Holmes also says, my biggest question is, why is Slay locked in as a starter? Look, we got to be honest, right? Nobody's saying Slay is an all-pro. Nobody's saying that. But the reality is, Slay is your most experienced corner. Slay is probably your smartest corner because he's built up that experience. He's been on the team. He knows what's expected. He's a team captain. Slay is a starter. Slay is a starter. Again, I'm not saying Slay had a spectacular 2023 season. I'm not saying he did. But he definitely wasn't the worst player on the field. He wasn't. He was the best corner. He was, granted, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, but he was their best corner. Whether we like it or not, he was their best corner. And I don't see a scenario where the Philadelphia Eagles go all the way in on a youth movement at corner, especially. I don't see that happening. I think that's highly unlikely. I think that'd be asking a lot of them to take that kind of risk. I think it's more likely that the Philadelphia Eagles ride out with Darius Slay for the 2024 campaign, and then they find a way to move him for the 2020 going into the 2025 season. Because although he's going to be entering the last year of his deal in 2025, his dead cap hit is pretty hefty. I believe it's like $22 million if they decide to cut him. And I don't think that's something they want to do. I think it's more likely they trade him, maybe. It all depends. Or maybe they restructure, give him more money up front. You never know how it may go. But I think Darius Slay is a starter for this season because he has the most experience, and I don't believe the Philadelphia Eagles would really take that much of a risk going that all in on a youth movement at corner. That would be asking a lot of them, if you ask me. I think it's realistic to expect them to have Darius Slay out there, and then the cornerback 2 position opposite of him will be someone who's competing for it, a guy that they either drafted or a guy that they believe in who's playing very well. Could be Quinyon Mitchell, could be Isaiah Rodgers, right? Is Kelee Ringo a dark horse? Maybe. But I know for a fact, or let me just say this, I'm pretty sure that James Bradberry is out of the door. He's out. It remains to be seen, but it's also a foregone conclusion. So that's why I believe Slay is locked in as a starter. That's my opinion. Bruce Banner says, seasoned vet, homie. Yep. Yeah. Jamal Harris says, think about the cornerback room we had in 2019 compared to this 2024 cornerback room. He says, can you pull up the old roster of the cornerbacks we had in 2019? I sure can, my friend. I sure can. All right, let's see working here. Let me go to here. 20. Let's pull this up. All right, the depth chart. Okay, so this is 2024. Let's go back to 2019, right? That's what you said. Go through the archives. So 2019, let's click on October because that's a little more accurate than September. So in October of 2019, the Eagles came into the season with Avonte Maddox as the outside corner and Ronald Darby. And that was when Avonte Maddox should have never been playing outside corner. Remember, they didn't really move him into the slot until about 2020. It took them a little while to figure out that he can't play outside. It took them a while. I don't know how they didn't see it, but he couldn't play outside. It took them a minute to realize that, nonetheless. So Avonte Maddox and Ronald Darby. Let me zoom in on that. Maybe you guys need to get a closer look. So you had Avonte Maddox and Ronald Darby as your outside corners. And then you also had Sidney Jones as well. And I think eventually they moved Sidney Jones to the outside, and then they had Avonte Maddox playing nickel. And that was when it was going between Orlando Scandrick, Rasul Douglas, Craig James. They were all over the place in 2019, right? But just going back to where were we? To the 2024 season. All right. As of right now, in the cornerback room, you have Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, Avonte Maddox, Kelee Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Eli Ricks, James Bradberry, Tyler Hall, Josh Jobe, Zach McPherson, Mario Goodrich, Perry Nickerson, and Sean Stephens. So Zach McPherson is buried on the depth chart. Mario Goodrich is buried on here. James Bradberry is likely going to be out of here. Tyler Hall could compete for the nickel spot. Avonte Maddox is competing for it. Cooper DeJean is competing for it. You know, you got a lot of talent here. Obviously, Kelee Ringo, Eli Ricks, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay. You got a lot of talent. Antonio Holmes says, I just don't want to lose an up-and-coming cornerback knowing Slay's in his last year and he leaves and we lose that young up-and-coming corner. Nah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Trust me, that won't happen. Slay has 2 years left. He has 2024 and 2025, so he's not entering his last year. You're not going to lose on any up-and-coming corners. You won't. I don't think so. I think they're going to find a way to get Rodgers on the field. That's what I think. I think that's what happens. They find a way to get Isaiah Rodgers on the field. We're going to get out of here pretty soon, you guys. But real quick, let me just address this one. Dre Diesel, he says, people saying trade Slay, but in reality, what could we really get for him? He's old, so there's no future. So draft picks are probably out of the question or one. Yeah, man, that's a good point by you, Dre. That's a very good point. Even if they decide to trade him in 2025, it's like, what do you really get back for a 34-year-old corner, right? What can you really get back? So, and I think right now Darius Slay is 33 as of right now. He'll be 34 when the 2025 season starts. So, yeah, man, what would you really get for a 34-year-old corner? Depending on how high of a level he's playing at still, is there a chance the Philadelphia Eagles keep him on the roster and let his contract run out? That's a possibility too. I know that's something that we haven't really considered, but it's a possibility that the Philadelphia Eagles let Darius Slay ride out the contract. That's a very real possibility if he's still playing at a high level, if he's still playing at a level that makes them comfortable. We have to consider that part too. We got to consider that, you know, but that's still okay. You can do it. You can do a lot worse than a guy like Darius Slay. Let's make that very clear, man. Let's make that very clear. But you guys have been tremendous. You guys have been awesome. You guys have been tremendous. You know, we had 60 people locked in on X, 30 people locked in on YouTube. You guys have been great, man. My man S. Blunt says this is Slay's last year. Ringo, Cooper, and Mitchell are the future. Well, I agree. I agree with you, S. Blunt. I know you probably just hopping in, but I agree with you. I think the perfect scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think their dream scenario is Quinyon Mitchell and Kelee Ringo on the outside and Cooper DeJean playing the nickel in 2025. I think that's their dream scenario. Now, obviously a lot has to happen still. We still have to get through the 2024 season. But I'm of the belief that this could be Darius Slay's last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think they move on from him somehow, some way. And I think if everything goes according to plan, their starting cornerbacks will be Quinyon Mitchell, Kelee Ringo on the outside, and Cooper DeJean in the slot going into the 2025 season. But we still got to get through the 2024 season. And I'm super excited about the 2024 season. If anybody just hopping in, sorry about that. We're about to get out of here. If you guys want to double back and rewatch the stream, or anybody that's not watching it live and they're watching it after the fact, I appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys remain engaged in the content. You guys have been tremendous. I can't do the show without you guys. The show is nothing without the people, and you guys understand that you're very valuable to me. And I'm always grateful for the love, the support, the love, the hate. I'm grateful for the engagement. And it's straight like that, you guys. Like I said to you, this competition between Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers is going to be very fascinating to watch. Training camp things are going to heat up. We're going to see these players playing in we're going to see these players playing in the preseason. We're also going to know a lot based off of who gets what snaps in the preseason, right? If Quinyon Mitchell doesn't get a ton of snaps in preseason, that means that he's their starter, right? If we see Isaiah Rodgers out there all day, every game for those 3 games, then he's not going to be the starter, right? So we're going to have to pay attention to the snap counts, and also a lot of these organizations, a lot of these teams, they value the organized team workouts, right? They value those competitive, controlled environments where they're able to travel and line up against other teams in training camp. So that's a lot of stuff we have to wait out for. But regardless, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be electric, and I'm here for it. Quinyon Mitchell and Isaiah Rodgers. I think this is going to be the competition to watch going into training camp, and it's straight like that, you guys. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II, and you guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the gang.